Yeah, joining me today is Dennis Trainor Jr. of Acronym TV. He's a filmmaker, director, producer of the film American Autumn and OccuDoc, and I believe you're also currently working on a film for the organization Move to Amend. Is that correct?
I'm working on about a 30-minute documentary for Move to Amend that's got a similar kind of advocacy feel to it that American Autumn has, trying to wake people up to the concept of the corrosive influence of money in politics, and painting Move to Amend as the solution to the problem that goes way beyond just the Citizens United Supreme Court decision and attacks 100 years of Supreme Court precedent. Also just shot a bunch of commercial spots for Move to Amend that I got to write with comedian Lee Camp that we think are going to be very funny and have some viral video potential. And hopefully those will be, they're in the final phases of the editing process, and hopefully they'll be rolled out by the end of the month.
So in full disclosure, I also worked on the film American Autumn as crew, and actually the equipment that I'm using to film this interview right now was used on that film. Could you talk a little bit about the film American Autumn, for those who don't know what it is or what it's about?
American Autumn was shot in Washington, D.C., New York, and Boston during the first 3 to 4 months of the Occupy movement. The idea to shoot the movie actually began with an organization that I was an organizer with called the October 2011 Coalition. We were calling for, beginning in April or March of 2011, an indefinite occupation of public space in Washington, D.C., around the anniversary of the beginning of the second decade of the Afghanistan war, and around the time that Congress was going to be convening a session that would introduce the so-called super committee that turned out to be not so super and not be able to deal with anything, not to make any recommendations towards this budget. So we were trying to draw attention to this big tent idea that the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the economy, the wealth gap, divide, all these things were connected. Obviously, on the way to something funny happened on the way to the Forum, or Washington, as it were, in that Occupy Wall Street emerged, and the project that you and I were working on became one chapter in a much larger story, thankfully. So we began traveling around. We couldn't be everywhere, but we shot, and you helped shoot in Washington and in Boston and in New York. And American Autumn tries to answer the question for people who have the question, you know, what is your one demand? What is the Occupy movement all about? And where do we go from here? So I see it very much as hopefully a recruiting tool for people to engage with the Occupy movement. Some of it is direct action, but some of it is in these really cool activities that are happening, hopefully cultural shifting activities that are happening in the post, in the kind of the post-occupation of the Occupy movement, things that are happening along the lines of strike debt, and things that are happening along the lines of just mutual aid, and how that idea is spreading through the culture, and we saw that with Occupy Sandy. So for me, the movie was about this being the most important social and political movement of my lifetime, and hoping that it is the beginning of something that many, many, many more people will be engaged with, and trying to tell a story through documentary form that challenges people to engage and participate.
I know you talked to Karl Gibson recently about this movement to abolish the federal government and to crowdsource a new constitution following Iceland's model. I guess if you could talk a little bit about that, like, do you feel that that's the logical next step?
I don't know if I would use logic to describe that as the next step. It's inspiring. Karl, for people who don't know, is the co-founder of US Uncut, which did a lot of really creative, direct, nonviolent actions to draw attention to the fact that most major corporations in the United States don't pay any taxes. And that's why we're kind of in this clusterfuck one of the reasons why we're in this clusterfuck to begin with. He then went on to work for Jill Stein's presidential campaign. So Karl's arc and trajectory, and he's much younger than me. He's maybe in the where you are. He's like 25 or 26, I think. Is saying, let's all go to Washington D.C. Let's declare this government unfit. Let's just march on the Capitol, and let's start a new government. Now that sounds crazy, but history's filled with shit like this happening. So I'm hopeful I'll be there. He's saying he wants 2 million people on the mall in Washington, D.C. I don't know. There's a Facebook group. People should look it up. I'm there. I'll participate. And on August 3rd in Washington, D.C., I'm going to be there. Is Karl going to be able to get 2 million people to the mall in Washington, D.C. on August 3rd of this year? I don't think so, but I'll be there. And I think that, the more people who are there, the more people who are willing to do what he's suggesting that we do, gather and then march on the Capitol. We're a day out from the death of Hugo Chavez, and we're reminded that he was ousted from government in the middle of his presidency for all of 2 days because the people surrounded the Capitol. And with the presidency of George W. Bush in office, ready to whisk Chavez away to a military base in the United States and declare him a prisoner of war, the people of Venezuela stood up and nonviolently made something really radical happen. So, this is the beginning of or a continuation of an arc of one thing that people can do. And for me, I think it does tap into the crowd within Occupy who, maybe rightfully so, didn't want to make demands of a government or of a system that they felt failed them. This is asking people to come together to literally create a new world. And it dovetails nicely back into the work that I was doing with the October 2011 coalition. We had a slogan that was twofold: stop the machine, create a new world, right? So you can't do one without doing the other, and I see them doing both of the same thing at the same time. So Karl's call to abolish it fits in nicely with that same idea: stop this destructive, homicidal machine and create a new world.
Killing you!
You're watching The Punk Patriot, to life, liberty, in pursuit of a less fucked up government. If you like this video, please donate what you think it was worth. You can find the link down in the description of the video. Also, let me know what you think in the comments section. Please share this video with your friends and your enemies. The only way that this channel will expand is through word of mouth and people like you. So thank you very much. Peace.